In this exercise, I'm going to introduce you to symbols inside of Illustrator. And symbols originally grew up around multimedia applications such as Flash Professional, where they were designed to serve as containers for graphics. So, for example, somebody who's coding an action script could identify a graphic as an object. And so Adobe added symbols to Illustrator in order to support those other applications. But over time, symbols have grown up into their own thing. They're useful if you're just printing your graphics. They're useful if you keep your illustrations inside Illustrator and never trade them with other applications. Because what they allow you to do is create multiple instances from a single core graphic object. And I'll show you how that works here. I'm working inside of a document called YellowstoneDetail.ai. And this is a detail from a map of Yellowstone National Park. And notice that we've got all sorts of repeating objects on this map. We've got this little bicycle, we've got this campground, we've got these picnic tables, and so on. And they're identified in the Symbols panel. To get to that panel, you go to the Window menu and you choose the Symbols command. Or if you want to remember this keyboard shortcut, it's Control-Shift-F11, Command-Shift-F11 on a Mac. Even better is to look for the little clover icon inside of this panel strip right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on it. It'll bring up the Symbols panel, as you see. And notice that we have a total of 8 symbols at work inside of this illustration. And every single one of these little picnic tables, for example, is an instance of a symbol that's defined here inside the Symbols panel. So each one of the symbols, the core symbols, is like its own little mini illustration. It contains all the path outline information, all the text objects, all the fills and strokes and dynamic effects even that are at work in order to create this symbol. And then everything that you see out here in the illustration window is just an instance. It's just a duplicate that's linked to that original symbol definition. So that means that if I need to at any given point in time, I could edit and update every one of these little picnic tables in one fell swoop. For example, let's say that I want to set the picnic tables against a green background instead of a black one. There's a couple of different ways to edit a symbol here inside of Illustrator. One is to double-click directly on the instance inside of an illustration, in which case you'll get this alert message that's telling you that you're about to edit the symbol definition, and any edits to that symbol will affect all instances. Do you want to do that? And if you don't want to see this message anymore, you click Don't Show Again. I'm just going to click OK. So we can see that we're now in an isolation mode, but we can see a dimmed version of the full graphic in the background. Now, I'm tempted because of this to say, well, gosh, I'm going to move this guy over to this neutral location so I can see what I'm doing and I'll edit it here. But if I do that and I leave it this way, check this out. I'll press the Escape key to escape out of this symbol isolation mode and apply my changes, in which case all of the little picnic tables move to new locations. That's a real problem. So I'm going to press Control-Z or Command-Z on the Mac to undo my change and go back into the symbol isolation mode, and then I'll escape out, because there's another way to do this. You can double-click on the symbol inside the Symbols panel, in which case you won't get any warning this time around, and you'll entirely isolate the symbol so you don't see anything else. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on my graphic right here. And if I try to select it with the black arrow tool, I'm going to select the entire thing. So I'm going to grab my white arrow tool. So I'm going to go ahead and Alt Marquee or Option Marquee, these two shapes right there. And then I'm going to make sure my fill is active, and I'm going to switch over to the swatches panel, and I'm going to apply a shade of green, like so. And then I think I'll go ahead and grab these little benches right there, and I'm going to scoot them outward. So I've got my keyboard increment set to 0.2 points, and I'm seeing that by pressing Control-K or Command-K on a Mac to bring up the Preferences dialog box. I just want you to see how I'm working in case you're working along with me. And then I'm going to press the right arrow key something like 5 times in a row to move that guy out there, and then I'll grab this one. So I'm Alt-clicking or Option-clicking on this little bench, and I'll press the left arrow key the same number of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe it was. And I just want to scoot those guys out, just ever so slightly. So we just have a slightly different effect. Also, I think that looks a little more comfortable for the park patrons. So now, at this point, having made my modifications, I can escape out of this mode and save my changes either by clicking on this left-pointing arrow in the upper left-hand corner of the screen there, or by pressing the Escape key. That'll take me out. Now, I'm not necessarily going to see my changes because I'm zoomed in on an entirely different portion of the graphic. So I'll just go ahead and zoom out. And now you can see that not only has the symbol changed inside the Symbols panel, but so has every instance of that symbol changed out here inside the illustration. And that is the power of symbols here inside Illustrator.